Coming from someone who hasn't had junk food in over 2 years, fixing your diet is the worst piece of advice you'll ever hear. I'll explain myself, but before I begin I want to give you my word that I won't try to convince you to eat a single thing you don't like. Just keep watching, you'll get what I mean soon. To start with, I'm gonna make a few assumptions about you. Because you clicked on a video about diet, I can guarantee you belong to one of these 3 categories. Number 1 is you have some sort of skin condition like acne, eczema or rosacea, and you're smart enough to know that eating healthier will make it go away. Number 2 is you want to lose weight so you can look more attractive, but you can't resist eating your comfort foods. And number 3 is you want to fully optimize your body and hormones, maximize your energy and metabolism, and avoid the modern toxins so you can have healthy children that don't have all the problems most humans have today. Whichever one of the situations you relate to, fixing your diet in the way you've been hearing about is only gonna make it worse, because healthy eating as you know it is not really all that healthy. I know it sounds strange, but I guarantee that by the end of this video your perspective on dieting will change forever, and you'll have the blueprint to finally reach your desired outcome. So when it comes to the food you consume, there's only 3 principles you have to keep in mind in order to optimally fuel your body, allow it to detox from all the poisons and start the healing process, which is exactly what you want to happen regardless of the group you find yourself in. The food should be nourishing and nutritious, it should taste good, and it shouldn't give you any discomfort during and after eating it. If any food ticks all 3 boxes, then you can have however much you want of it, because when you eat naturally, your body knows when to stop. As you can tell, this is entirely different from the awful advice being given out today that is only based on restrictions. Don't have too much sugar, limit your salt intake, watch how much fat you eat. It's all terrible advice and you'll find out soon where it originated from. But there's a reason your body naturally craves all of these. Not only are they crucial for enjoying your meals, but they're also critical to your body functioning properly, which is what makes them even more important, meaning that limiting them to any extent will only be detrimental to your health, but more on that later. For now, let's look at the first principle. And this is already where modern dieting advice fails completely, because we all know what a quote-unquote healthy and nutritious meal looks like: lean meat, seeds, flowers and leaves. So why is it that after we eat like that, we keep coming back for more snacks and junk food? Here's the truth: if that meal actually left us nourished and gave us all the necessary nutrients in a bioavailable form, then the thought of eating a bunch of crumbled cookies wouldn't even cross our minds. The reason we crave all that stuff is because we don't get enough nutrients from those depressing meals, so our body is signaling to us to eat more so as to hopefully get a hold of those missing nutrients. You can look at it this way: regardless if you eat the so-called healthy food or the junk food, you'll still get unhealthy cravings afterwards, because your body is not satisfied and it wants more calories it can potentially extract nutrients from. If you still don't believe me, let's look at the nutritional value of a classic chicken, rice, broccoli and kale meal. The chicken is actually the best out of these because other than the protein, you also get some bioavailable B vitamins and some minerals. The rice is basically just carbs if it's of high quality and you prepare it well, but if not, then it could cause more harm than good because of the high amounts of arsenic and anti-nutrients. And lastly, we can find some vitamin C in the broccoli and kale. You probably noticed I left some vitamins out, and that's because they're not absorbable by the body. The K1 is useless as opposed to the K2 found in animal products. The vitamin A is beta-carotene, which up to 80% gets lost when converted to retinol that we can actually use. And the iron is non-heme iron, which makes it really hard to absorb. While this meal is miles better than fast food, it still doesn't properly nourish your body, so it's normal to crave more food after you eat it. With that being said, let's get a quick look into what a nutritious meal would look like. And if you want me to make a more detailed video about this, then let me know in the comments. We can swap the chicken breast for a steak or a gelatinous cut of beef like oxtail. Add in some beef liver, some mango slices and a banana, a glass of raw milk and a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. This has far more bioavailable nutrients than what is known as a traditionally healthy meal, and I promise you won't get any cravings for unhealthy food afterwards. What's more is whenever you get hungry again, you'll actually crave more food like this because it made you feel so good. Which leads me to the second principle, because I don't know who needs to hear this, but if healthy food tastes bad, it's not because it's full of nutrients. That's just your body telling you to stay away from something toxic. I know we've been manipulated to associate healthy food with bad tasting food, but you really want to listen to your own body on this one because it knows way better what you need than some stranger online who is convinced he found the perfect diet. We as humans have multiple ways of sensing if we're in danger, and taste is one of them. Look at poisonous berries, for example. As soon as you get one in your mouth, you'll sense that something's wrong with it. Because of the bitter taste, you know immediately that it's not something you should consume. So why don't you apply the same rule with other foods? If kale tastes horrible without dressing and condiments, why would you still force yourself to eat it? The bad taste is your body trying to tell you not to have more of it, because the anti-nutrients will be messing up your gut. Don't be afraid to never buy a certain food again if the taste feels off to you. It really doesn't matter how many benefits the internet tells you it has. Holding on to certain foods just because you think they're healthy will only set you back. And this goes for the foods I mentioned as well. For example, if you buy beef liver and it tastes very bitter, it means it's not of good quality and you shouldn't eat it. High quality organs should taste a bit sweet, so buy ones that come from young ruminants such as calves. Coming back to the vilification of salt, sugar and fats, these are all things that not only taste good, but that are crucial for your body to thrive. They are perfectly healthy to eat as long as they are in their natural form. I'm talking about sugar from fruit, maple syrup and raw honey, fats from ruminant animals, butter and coconuts, and sodium from meat and a good salt free of heavy metals and microplastics. The reason these are all demonized is because the big corporations know it is what humans naturally crave, and they want to be the only suppliers of it. So they warn against them and pay researchers to say that saturated fat is bad for you, even if there's no proof of that. So now we stop eating what our body tells us to, but the needs for fat, sugar and salt still need to be fulfilled. So we head to fast food places to get them. Except that instead of the natural version of these vital compounds, they feed us the toxic alternatives like refined sugar, seed oils and MSG as a way to keep us sick, unhealthy and wanting more. Because if you had nourishing fatty meat and sweet fruit every single day, you wouldn't still come and eat their slop, would you? To illustrate the third principle, I'm gonna describe two people and I want you to try to guess who is healthier. Character A has researched the best and most nutritious foods for hours on end and built his diet around the most promising results. But every time he eats, he gets bloating and stomach pain. Character B knows absolutely nothing about nutrition and just eats whatever he feels best eating. He is always satiated after his meals, but he never gets that overly full, nauseous feeling. The healthiest would obviously be the latter because he eats intuitively and therefore his body reacts well to the food he consumes. What you can take away from this is to test out different foods as long as they meet the first two principles and see which ones work for you. If you really want to have potatoes but they just make you feel so bloated after you eat them, remove them from your diet for the time being and consider giving them another shot whenever your gut is more healed. Another thing you can do is experiment with eating certain foods at different times in the day or in different combinations, but don't insist on them if they give you discomfort and you can sense they're not compatible with you. I made this mistake a lot when I first started eating healthier. I looked at what other people in the health space on X were eating and I tried to have the same things, and for months I kept having digestion problems. But I never questioned those foods because I had seen other people thrive on them. So I urge you to not make the same mistake I did. If you don't react well to a certain food, even if it's supposed to be really good for you, just move on and try other things. Then you can reintroduce it some other time. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it should be that your body always works for you, not against you. And as a result, eating the right foods must feel effortless and natural. If fixing your diet feels like swimming upstream, it means you're doing something wrong. And in that case, you should reevaluate the situation and make the changes that are needed for you to advance, even if it means that others will disapprove.